I can stop.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
And I believe that was like in the year 1919.
Around then.
And from what I understand, you went during the 50th anniversary.
I went, what was it, 1967 was when I went.
Oh, it was 67.
So I was close.
I read in some sources that it was 1968, and in some it was 1969.
Let me think. I got married in 67. It was in 68. It was in the spring of 68. I had a fraternity brother who was very interested in paranormal. You know, I wasn't really particularly at that point. And he was a grad student, so he had access to things I didn't have access to. He could go to the university and check all this equipment out. But they didn't let us undergraduates, they didn't trust us with it, if you understand that. So he decided that he and I would go up there to Elmore and see if we could see anything. Well, some of the equipment he took out a still camera, he took out a movie camera that only filmed ultraviolet, a movie camera that only filmed infrared. He took 3 different types of microphones and taping equipment, one that's normal, one that only picked up low sounds that we normally would not see or hear, and one that picked up very high sounds that we normally would not see. And we drove to Elmore because we didn't really know where it was, you know.
Yeah.
So what do you do when you're lost? You go to the gas station, and that's what we did. And the guy at the gas station says, "Oh yeah, it's out there on Slimmer Portage Road." And we just went on out there and we found it, exactly what he described. When we got there, the farm was, the buildings were still there, but they were all abandoned. But it had a barn, chicken coop, the kind of outbuildings, and a farmhouse down a lane. The lane came into the road. You turned right, you went down, and there was a curve in the road, and right at the curve, right past the curve, was a bridge. So we went up early. We got there early enough. We went all through the house. You know, I know it's breaking and entering. I don't care. You know, we were young and dumb, and we got. You know, it was just an abandoned house. There wasn't anything special about it. The barn was empty, and you know, there was nothing special. It was just that way. So we went back and we set up all the equipment, and we set it up on the far end of the bridge. Now, I heard that there was an incantation you had to perform, which was to blink your lights 3 times and beep your horn 3 times, and then the light would come out of the man still hunting for his head, and yeah, right. But we tried it just after dusk, and we saw a very faint but very distinct light up by the farmhouse. It comes down the drive, it turns right, it comes down, it turns left towards us, and disappears in the middle of the bridge. And I'm going, okay, let's head back to Bowling Green now. And he says, oh no, he says, I'm in paranormal all the time, but I don't see things like this very often. You know, okay. And he says, I want to get a closer look at it. I said, okay. I said, what do you want to do? He says, I'm going to cross the bridge, and you stay here in the car. And I stayed there in the car, and the car's mine. I own at this point, a 1965 Rambler American 4-cylinder that will go from 0 to 60 in 2 days. I mean, that's how underpowered it was. But he went across the bridge, and I blinked the lights and beeped the horn. And a second time, I saw the light come down the driveway, make a right, come down, disappear in the center of the bridge. And I waited for my friend to come back. And I waited for my friend to come back. He didn't come back. So I went over and started looking for him. I found him unconscious in a ditch. He had some pretty good bruises and abrasions. And I carry a first aid kit in my car. I always have, still do today. And I had one of those amyl nitrate things that'll wake the dead, you know, to make you come around. And it made him come around, and he didn't even know what we were out there for. Okay, and when they finally got him back and got him back in the car and everything, I said, let's pack up and go home. And he said, oh, no. I want to see if this thing's, he says it apparently hit me, but I want to see if there's any substance to it. So we tied a string across the bridge. And we both went back to the car, beeped the horn, blinked the lights. Third time the light came down the road and disappeared in the middle of the bridge, and we walked over and the string is still there. So whatever it is doesn't really seem to have any substance, but we're still seeing it. And I said, well, good, let's go. And he says, oh no, let's get a closer look at it. And I said, what do you mean by closer? He says, let's go down where we first see it in the car and then see if we can watch it, you know, up here. And I agreed, and we took down, and I backed into the driveway so that I was heading out the same way the light was going to be. And I beat my horn and blinked my lights, and I could see in my rearview mirror this thing just pops up right next to the house. And it starts down the driveway, and so do I. And I'm flooring it, and I got to the end of the driveway, and I turned right, and it turned right behind me. And as I'm getting closer and closer to that bridge, I'm watching this light, and it goes right through the car. It was like a light bulb going off. And then it was in front of me. And then it made the turn and disappeared in the center of the bridge. And I'm going, that's it, we're leaving. I don't care about any more experiments. So we did pack up everything. We went back to Bowling Green. And over the next week or so, we developed films and all this other stuff. And on the infrared film, there appeared to be a heat source. And it followed 4 times the same pattern. And on the very high frequency, there was a humming, and it was very faint, and then it got to be very loud. And we could match the two of them together, and they seemed to be the same event. So that's my basic story.
Of course, how'd you feel afterwards about it? Oh, hang on one second.